and welcome back through the hallway. We are here with you, Tariq Rashad, Married Man Rob, and whatever Met Jump
0.62 ERA.
What did you say?
0.62 ERA John, dropping some stats from his boy Jacob DeGrom for you. We're gonna jump into some boxing talk. Had some stuff going on this weekend that was pretty live. Some things going on in the near future as well. That's got us chomping at the bit. Starting with Floyd Mayweather versus Logan Paul. They had their 8-round exhibition, which ended in a money-making heist for Floyd, as he would call it. The most elusive, the best legal bank robber there is known to man.
It's my money and I need it now.
As he would say in his post press conference. There we go. How'd you guys like it?
It was entertaining to say the least. At least the interest. I like the Migos coming out. Migos came out. They didn't even come out with Floyd. They just had their whole show. They just did a whole walk through the arena and performed the song. It was lit. And it was great to see the attraction that Floyd can bring. He's been out of the boxing ring for maybe 3 to 4 years, and all the stars were out to watch it. He's a massive promoter. If he didn't do anything else, he can literally promote fights. Outside of that, bro, we knew that Floyd was not going to get touched in this fight, which he barely did. Logan Paul threw more punches but landed least. And Floyd just clearly outboxed him. And that's what happened. What did we think was going to happen when you fight against the world's greatest defensive boxer of all time, and you are an amateur who hasn't stepped into the professional fighting ring a day in your life? What do you think was going to happen?
John, you said so many.
And it was a typical Floyd fight.
You said so many important things. You said so many important things there. First, you said play. That's exactly what Logan Paul did. He thought he was playing. He jumped into a fight, thought he was playing. And two, for all the fans out there that are disappointed, angry, we want our money back. You said the other very important thing, John. Floyd is the what?
Best defensive.
The best defensive boxer of all time. I don't know if these people just crawl from under a rock. I don't know if this is their first time paying for a pay-per-view Floyd fight. But that's what they all look like. Somebody throwing a whole bunch of punches and missing. And Floyd being technical, dropping a couple of punches to show you I can touch you. Floyd's really not trying to knock anybody out. Floyd's really not trying to, go punch for punch and stand in the middle of the ring and let him throw. It's crazy that he can gather so much money, so much enthusiasm, so much hype for a fight when all of his fights are like this. All of his fights are like this. The last 3 fights I watched personally of Floyd was the Jose Ortiz fight, the Manny Pacquiao fight, and then I guess we can call the Conor McGregor fight an actual fight. And all 3 of those were the same, other than him punching Jose Ortiz out after touching gloves with him. Immediately after touching gloves with them. Jose Ortiz's fault. But
I will say this, in this fight, I did see Floyd Mayweather get on the aggressive in rounds 3 and round 4 when he was literally hunting Logan Paul down, cutting off the corner. And you know what Logan Paul was doing? Playing Huggy Bear number 1, Huggy Bear number 2.
Come on, give me a hug. Bring it in. I'm serious. This is stupid. Come on, man.
Started to use his weight against him because he knew he was getting tagged, and it was really bad. And then after a while, he just like, forget it. I can't hit him. He's going to tag me. I'd rather use my weight. And it was funny. I was listening to Joe Rogan's show prior to the fight, and he literally called it out. He said, if I was Logan Paul's boxing trainer, and I was in his corner, I would literally tell him to hug on to Floyd Mayweather and try to get some body shots in, because that's the only way you're going to hit him. And literally, that's what the fight turned into in the later rounds, right? So, was it entertaining, the fight? No. But at the same time, it's Floyd Mayweather. This is what he do. This is what he do.
Rob, I want to bring a question to you. So there was a part in the fight with John, and John hit the nail on the head again, where there was some hugging going on, and Floyd Mayweather tapped Logan Paul in the chin with a right and a little left tap while Logan Paul was coming toward him, and it looked like Logan Paul was out. And if you look at the video, some could say that it looks like Floyd Mayweather held him up to keep the fight going.
It's a good shot there from Mayweather. It's not a frantic pace, and Floyd, he's putting pressure on with the feet. He's not really letting his hands go to an extent where
to keep the clinch going, to keep him from being stunned, from him dropping, and whatever may have ensued after the fact. So, in your opinion, Rob, do you think this fight was rigged? Do you think there was a conversation had between the fighters to say, "Yo, my man, don't knock me out," and that would be more or less on a Logan Paul to Floyd?
In my honest opinion, I don't know how a fight could be rigged if there is no official winner. So to answer your question, no, I don't think it was rigged. And if you ask Logan Paul, he went on Instagram, made a post and was like, yo, everyone thinks that, like, you know, Floyd locked me out and he helped me up. And he said that was false too.
I mean, people say a lot of things on the internet. Logan Paul and Jake Paul live on the internet. You can't be internet stars without saying some erroneous or at least fabricated things. Now, so Rob, do you think he was not? You've seen the video. You think he was out?
I think when you get hit on the side of your ear and very close to your temple, you gonna tumble forward, and you 99.8% of the time you're gonna fall down. I do think Floyd had a bit of showmanship in him, and maybe was like, all right, come on, man, like stand up, like what are you doing? So I do think that he hit him in the sweet spot that would have made him fall had Floyd not been there.
So John, I'll bring it back to you then. With all the grabbing and stuff like this, I'm gonna ask you, do you think the fight was rigged? Because all I think that punch combo was more or less to let him know, like, yo, all this clinching you doing, I'm letting you do this too, because I know how to beat that too. I have a counter for that, and that's what Floyd is. Floyd is counter king. And do you think there was a conversation saying, yo, man, don't put me out?
I don't think that's Floyd's style. I think Floyd's style is to embarrass you. And I think that he held him up so he can embarrass him more. And that's exactly what this fight was about. I'm creating separation. I want to let you know that you shouldn't even deserve to be in a ring with me. That's why at the end of the fight, he started laughing like I was surprised. You know, I was proud of this guy.
Great young fighter, strong, tough. He's better than I thought he was.
Because he knew before he even stepped into the ring, this guy does not even deserve to step and grace the ring with me. You know, this fight was more so one to show that Floyd still is the top dog when it comes to boxing and when it comes to revenue, right? It's crazy. He made more money than a Canelo fight. That's ridiculous. So with that being said, I don't think it was rigged. And I think that he intentionally he didn't have judges there on purpose, because it would have been a boring fight. Because if you have judges there, the scorecard would have reflected, and people would have been like, this is crazy. He knew that he was going to clinch. They knew that prior to the fight, and they sold it as it's going to be a knockout. And I think that Floyd tried to knock him out, bro. And it's hard to knock somebody out that's 195 pounds, right? And you are 155. So I think throughout the fight he was catching him.
You knocked him out there. You think that was just a punch and clinch? You seen the video?
Yeah, I think it was a punch and clinch, but I don't think he knocked him out. I think that he might have had him stumble, right? Because he did stumble. I don't think it was a knockout punch.
Stumbled and then dropped all that weight on him. But let's talk about somebody that actually did get knocked down. Shout out to the boy Chad Ochocinco. He was one of the earlier cards in this same fight night, and he went 4 rounds with MMA fight with a mixed martial artist, similar to what Jake Paul did earlier about 2 months ago, where he went a few rounds with it. Well, it only went one round, but he went one round with a mixed martial artist. Chad Ochocinco looked pretty good. He did get caught in the last round, got dropped. Became a meme.
What y'all talking about? Y'all talking about me?
But how do y'all feel about Chad's performance?
Listen, man, I think Chad Johnson, I don't even want to give him too much credit here because, like, at the end of the day, when you're an athlete, you're judged based off your performance. And I think it might be time for these cross-sport athletes to stop trying to become boxers. This is number 2 now. We see Nate getting knocked. We want to see Ochocinco getting knocked. Like, we need to see, like, Michael Strahan or something, like, actually a bigger person in the heavyweights, like, try to do it. But
which one is he? Mike Strahan go against Mike Tyson?
No.
I
don't want to see that. I don't want to see that.
You don't see him fight John Jones or something?
He gonna knock his tooth open again if you do that. But I do think it's a money grab, and in that sense, I understand it. But I don't think it's anything that I personally think has any sustainable feasibility for, like, former athletes turned into boxers. Like, it's just, at least from what I've seen, I don't think it's a good idea.
I personally don't think they're turning into boxers. I think they're it's exhibition. It's not a pro career. I think it's more or less, I'm Ochocinco. I mean, I retired 6-7 years ago, and I still have 3 million followers on Twitter. People want to see me in action. People want to see me go to McDonald's and still people want to see me stream. People want to see. I want to be in shape. I want to fight. I want to box. And I know, and this is just me personally, if I'm going to a boxing if I'm training for boxing, I'm gonna want to get in the ring with somebody. I'm gonna want to spar with somebody, and then I think it turns into let's make some money out of it. I mean, no need to spar in an empty gym. Yeah. Ochocinco. There's a fight card. Let's get on that card. Let's have some fun with it. I don't think so. In that sense, to me, unlike Nate Robinson, he went out there looking like someone that trained to box for 4 rounds. He lasted 4 rounds. He got up from his punch. He was a little woozy when he got up. He wasn't doing the right things initially, but in the ring, he exchanged. He got some good punches in. He looked like a street fighter a little bit, but he looked like someone who actually took this seriously when it came to training. And I know Nate it went really fast for Nate, but we didn't see the same thing from Nate as I saw from Chad Ochocinco. In my opinion, I would watch something like this. I would watch someone that took it seriously enough to actually go in there and, have pride in themselves and not just think it's a money grab. I would watch that. I would pay that. I probably wouldn't pay $60, pay-per-view $60 to watch Chad Ochocinco fight, but I would watch I really think I would watch a Legends League where different athletes came in and tried their skills in the physical sport of boxing.
I commend Ochocinco for grace in the ring and being able to, number one, accept the brutality that comes with that sport. Football is a different sport than boxing. It's direct contact to your face and your body. Like there's no ball being involved. It's just your body and my fist. You know what I'm saying? There's no barrier in between. And with that being said, you got to give credit to heart. Ochocinco showed a lot of heart. You got to think, Ochocinco about 40-something years old, bro, to get into a ring with somebody twice, like, less his age, to show that he's greater than science, as to quote him, and not to be afraid to jump in there. And to his credit, like Todd said, he looked like he actually did some training, and it looked like he had some technique. It's just there's people that's been doing this longer than you, and you have to give respect to the field of martial arts and boxing, which is a part of that umbrella, and give the respect that is deserved. Now, what I think will be more interesting if we started seeing athletes from different sports that haven't boxed each other. That might be something I will watch because of the fact that it's a level playing field. So that will be kind of dope. to see if Ron Artest goes against James Johnson. Like, who's the toughest bad guy, right? Like, that would be dope.
Perfect.
I would love to.
Johnson.
I would love to.
What I've heard.
Yeah, I would love to see that. There's two former NBA. Settle your beef. If you got beef and you just real like that, let's go get it in the ring. Like, that would be dope. But with that being said, man, I think that everybody realized that if you're not a boxer, it's not as easy as you think it is, and just stay outside that ring because you will get embarrassed. That's the end of the story.
Well,
Ditto.
That leads to a mixed martial artist versus Jake Paul. I believe June 27th. The internet phenom 2-0, I believe Jake Paul is now with his last two wins. He's going up against Tyron Woodley, another mixed martial artist, but this one's a little bit more acclaimed, a little bit younger than the last one that he fought. And for what it's worth, Tyron Woodley used to stand up in the octagon too. He'd stand up and throw some punches in the octagon. So I think Jake Paul has finally met his match or a worthy opponent to the larger crowd. And the only way I think that they can get worthy opponents, both Jake and Logan Paul, is to be the underdog. And right now, I think this is the first time, in my opinion, that Jake Paul, I'm not going to lie to you. I thought he was the underdog against Nate. I didn't know Nate was going to come out like that. But he's definitely the underdog because I've seen Tyron Woodley fight. I was going off of looks and one little scrap in the NBA where he tossed J.R. Smith, seismic tossed J.R. Smith in the net in the Denver Nugget New York Knicks fight. But Tyron Woodley, I've seen him fight. He's going up against Jake Paul. I'm looking for that to actually be something worth watching. What do you guys think there?
I don't think he stands a chance.
I think
when you go against somebody who's experienced in their sport.
Mixed martial artist. His last fight was against a mixed martial artist. He beat him in the first round. This is gonna be
I don't think he stands a chance. I think we go get somebody that's experienced in your sport and their sport. There's a level of finesse, not finesse, but it's like there's a level of understanding and a level of respect for the eliteness of being a professional athlete. Kind of the same thing where I'm saying where about like, the former football players and Ochocinco and Nate Robinson going into the boxing race is like, you think you can do this until you really step into this with somebody that really does this. And I think that's going to be the case when it comes to Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley.
I don't know, man. Jake Paul showed me something last fight, and he showed me something. And what I'm getting at is, I'm not going to respect Jake Paul like that, even though he has knocked out. He beat Ben Askren, who was he was a former champion in UFC.
No, he's not.
However, he was primarily a wrestler. You beat Nate Robertson, who was a basketball player and really didn't have any training. But I really think that Jake Paul can box. And when you look at Tyron Woodley and his strikes, he uses a lot of elbows. He uses a lot of the strikes that are not allowed in boxing, right? When you look at his knockouts, he's ground and pound too. And sometimes he uses, the backhand punches and things of that nature. Those things won't be allowed. So will that affect his fluency in the ring? Is he going to double think his punches? Will he get penalized against those things? Those are things I'm throwing into the equation as well when it comes to boxing. So as opposed to Jake Paul, that's all he knows is boxing, not the MMA stuff. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be interesting. I ultimately think that Tyron Woodley has the advantage because he's a fighter, but I think this is going to be closer than what people think.
I will say this: I'm not going to respect Jake Paul as a boxer, but I will respect him as someone that can knock a grown man the hell out, and that's what he's done twice. Regardless if you can box or not, he got in the ring and two grown men dropped. So he can hit hard enough to knock a grown man out. And I will also say the last time I seen Tyron Woodley was on the Titan Games, and that's where The Rock invites a celebrity athlete to compete against average Joes, not average Joes, but less celebrity, but athletes in their in somewhat of a gladiator me versus them game. Tyron Woodley got his ass kicked. Victor Cruz too got his ass kicked. Tyron Woodley got his ass kicked. So in the public versus the professional eye, he's 0-1 to some fans. So he's gonna need to prove himself. But that's going to cover it all for boxing. We'll be back with some more 3 the Hard Way.